Why do you think it seems like whenever these big producers get like an executive A&R position, nothing ever pops off?
Not me. Well, okay. There's a couple of reasons why that happens. When a producer at a higher caliber goes in, as they say, they don't know that the first and foremost priority for the label and them is we want you to go to the artists that we've been trying for the last 5 years that are sitting on the shelf and give your greatness to them because we done put money into them.
So back to what I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? Welcome to L.I.F.E on podcast. This is where we listen and inspire friends in entertainment.
And everywhere.
Why? Because life happens to everyone. Mr. Troy Taylor, ladies and gentlemen, I had to get to it. We call him TTU.
What does that stand for?
Troy Taylor Underestimated.
Okay.
Troy Taylor University. What's up, Troy?
How you doing, sir?
I am, people always be like, this is my brother. No, really, this is my brother. We've known each other for years. Stand-up guy. Have nothing but positive things to say about him in this industry. I'm not just saying it because he's sitting here. Now, if there's anything that happens in the corner, in the back, in the booth, in the dark, I just don't know about it. But from what I deal with him, great guy.
Right. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I agree too.
Typically, it's like, oh, how did you start in music and all that kind of stuff? You know what? Google it. But I will say why, though. Like, why did you get into music? Because that's a big question I like to ask everyone. And I'm actually usually kind of surprised at some of the answers I get.
I'm going to ask you this question. Was it even a choice?
It wasn't no choice. That's why I'm like,
what's that? Yeah.
Okay. So what happened where it wasn't
I didn't know anything else. There is no choice.
So you came out the womb like,
well, no. Well, yes.
Oh.
But as far as doing music for the rest of my life, I will say at high school, talent shows,
okay.
just the reaction, hearing music in my head and just wanting to get it out, and then realizing, wait, I could do this for the rest of my life.
Now in high school, I'm assuming that you were singing.
Yes, I was an artist first.
A lot of people.
Yeah, I was an artist first.
Don't know. I mean, there are people who do, but a lot of people don't know that he's an amazing singer.
Not amazing.
Fact, let's do.
I won't do amazing.
Don't do that.
I'll do nice.
Well, all right, so here's why I call amazing. Is I've heard you sing on some things before, demos back in the day.
Okay.
That came across my desk, right? And well, one, you still sang better than me, so you had a very good voice. But, and I think this is why you do what you do today, you were able to capture the feeling, the vibe, and your tone, like your vibe was dope.
Thank you.
That always has been dope. Yeah, so amazing can be one thing or another, right? That's why I always say just because you can sing don't make you an artist.
I'll get you that.
I can see why you were an artist.
I'm going to just say this. You did a challenge not too long ago. I don't know if it was it Tanks?
The Johnny Gill thing?
Yeah, and you're like, I'm not a singer, but I'm going to try it. And then you go on the murder.
Yeah,
right,
that was
exactly.
easy. See, that was easy. So if it was something harder, then I would have just sat myself down somewhere.
Yeah. See, all right, so Troy's like LeBron, be like, I play recreational ball.
Yeah, and then go out there with the silver alleys and all of that. Yeah. I want to do this then, because a lot of people who know who you are, who maybe read credits like I used to, don't need to dig all of that, but they might not know about the Motown days. So, not a choice. Talent shows. How do we get to Motown? What happens at Motown, and then what happens next?
So, I was actually shopping a deal for a local rapper in my hometown, New Haven, Connecticut. I did his music, and so he had somebody who had some money in New Haven with construction that wanted to invest in him. So the investor decided to find someone in New York to try to shop his music. And I was the producer, but there were two or three songs that we had that I was singing the hook on. And that in that time, rapping with hooks wasn't. It was starting to be. It was like in the streets.
So what year are we in right now?
We're
like
in
late 80s.
We're in 89.
Yeah, okay.
So when we went to New York to shop him, people kept asking, "Who's that singing with you?" And I'd be like, "Oh, that's me." But I would say it as a matter of fact because I'm his producer, so it ain't no big deal. Well, he was good at what he did. But the combination, and then the fact of, hip hop wasn't where it is now. R&B was still the head leading.
Gotcha.
So in their mind, it's like, well, are you with him? And I'm like, no, I'm his producer. So you guys are not a group. No, we're not a group. I'm his producer. Well, aside from that, going back to my girl at the time and the group that I was in locally, I was going through different transitions. And so it seemed like that thing kept coming up. They kept asking, were we together? And I was like, no. But then it started seeming like an opportunity to get out. So this one label decided to sign us. They were called Warlock Records.
I remember Warlock. Yeah.
So they signed us both, and I came up with the name Smooth Characters.
Okay.
That's what I came up with.
I feel like I just dug up a treasure chest.
Yes, you did. And so, key factors here, because when I tell this story, there are lessons to be learned in this story.
Hey.
And I was very anxious. I was very angry. And I thought I found a way out. And we both signed this deal with no attorney. And it was the most horriblest deal in the history of horriblest deals. Whereas my publishing, I signed away from. And I didn't know it. So we went to Ohio, man, someplace off the side of the highway, some studio, and we worked there. And while we were working there, I had met Charles.
Okay.
Charles would go to Warlock Records every day to use the phones and stuff. Just the office, because he had a friend there.
Gotcha.
He would go see him, and then he would make calls and stuff like that. And one of the guys there that Charles knew, Charles was looking for someone to do some keyboard work.
Okay.
So the guy there, Lyndon, suggested me because he had my demos and he heard my music and stuff. Right. So Charles hit me up to do some, aside from this, he hit me up to do some keyboard work. Well, Charles also offered to get an attorney to look at my contract because I told him I signed with no. And that's when I found out how bad it was.
Right. How much time passed from the signing of it to this moment? Where
it was kind of simultaneously going.
Okay.
It was kind of simultaneously going because when I went out to Ohio to record the album, Charles at the same time took the deal to look at it.
Okay.
Nice.
And when he did that, he said, this is horrible. It's really bad. You need to tell them that you want to come home. And then don't talk to them.
Shout out to Charles Farrar.
Don't answer their calls.
Nice.
Well, long story short of that, the goal was to get them to drop us. Well,
what did they require? Just turn it in the garbage? Or?
No. To be annoying and just be a headache and make them just drop us. Well, it half worked because they dropped the rapper. They just didn't drop me. So I remained. Now, set aside from that. Okay, let's stop there. Let's go back because this is a key factor. Mom tells me you need to get a job. And so I don't want to work. I worked at clothing stores. I worked at Linder's Bagel. I did newspaper delivery.
How old are we here?
We're talking back then I was like 16, 17.
Not even 20 yet. Okay.
18-ish. And so around 19, I was working at Merle's record store. Okay. But either way, I had a few record stores that I worked at. Because in my mind, that's the best place to have a job. You get to read all the credits. You get to hear all the new music. Yeah. So credit reading is a lost art, by the way. Oh my God. And so I used to read the credits, and it seems like this name would pop up every single time, and his name was Timmy Regisford. So he was an executive A&R at MCA, and then he moved to Motown. So during the course of me not being able to get off yet, it turned into my record. So now it was no longer the characters, smooth characters, it was Troy Taylor featuring the rapper.
Gotcha.
How did that go over?
Well, it didn't, because when they asked me who did I want to get to mix, at that point, I had never been in a studio before. I don't know anybody in the music industry. I don't know anything. I'm New Haven, Connecticut, which is an hour and 35, 40 minutes away from New York. I don't know anything. They didn't know I didn't know anything, but they just asked just in case I did.
You knew one name, didn't you?
But I knew that one name, and I threw that name out just cuz. And when they said, hey, get Timmy on the phone, that was like, what? Oh, shoot. So they got Timmy on the phone. They scheduled the meeting. And I had this plan. I'm going to meet Timmy Regisford. So I have a bag full of cassettes with music on it. And he's going to mix my record. This is going to be my first time in the studio to see how a mixing session goes down. And so Soundworks Studio was the studio that they used. Or was it? No, I don't think it was that. It was another studio. I forget. Anyway, my plan was to bring my music with me, but only play 3 songs. I don't know how I came up with this idea. I'm going to have the music with the songs with me, but I'm not going to play the songs. I'm going to play the tracks, the beats. Because my mind says if he likes them, he's going to be like, where's the songs? You should put songs on these. So I could say, I do have songs. I don't have them with me, but I can come back.
Okay. It's pretty calculating.
It is. And I don't know if I was really that smart.
Right.
I mean, you did it, so.
Yeah, but I remember not exactly knowing what I'm doing.
Holy Spirit. Yeah. But go ahead. You were saying?
We can give the credit to that.
Hey.
But at that time, I didn't know it. I didn't recognize it as such.
Right.
So I did that. And so session came about. It was like I think it was a Monday. And so he started. I sat in the back. I watched this all go down, and just in awe of all the board and the knobs and so much lights and everything. And how do you remember? I remember you see the board, and it's like, how do you remember what these knobs do? Not thinking it's only one strip.
No, one strip.
Copied over and over and over and over. So you just learned this one strip, the whole one. But it didn't look like that. It looked like
a spaceship.
Every knob has its own
different
thing. Yeah. So he took a break, and when he went into the lounge, there was a boombox on the side. And so I thanked him for coming to, agreeing to mix this. By this time I was 21. And so I asked him, now he said he liked the song. And so I was like, yeah, thank you. I was wondering if you could listen to something, I have more music. And so he said, yeah, sure. So I popped the cassette in, and I played one beat. I got to say beats because the kids knows beats. We say tracks, but I played one beat. I played 2 beats. In the middle of the second one, he stopped it, and he was like, where's the songs?
Working the same way you wanted to.
And I was like, oh, I do have songs to these. And he said, let me hear the songs. I don't want to hear just the music. I said, well, I don't have it with me, but I can always, come back. He said, all right, what is the name? Nadine Baker. Wow. He said, I'll set up a meeting Wednesday and with Nadine, and my assistant will have, da-da-da. And I was like, whoa. So I came back Wednesday with a bag of cassettes, and he literally sat in his office, and he just popped it in and just played, just cassettes, and turned it over because I got the.
You got to turn them over. Hopefully they were max cells.
And that resulted in him buying me off
out of the
Warlock.
deal.
That's how you okay.
I got all my master's bag, I got my publishing bag, and then he signed me to Motown. And that's how I got to Motown.
I forgot I asked how we got to Motown. I'm so wrapped up in this story with Timmy. I forgot about that.
That was initially the question.
Yeah.
But I had to go that way in order to get there because
we haven't hit the characters phase yet.
Yes. So during the course of that, I moved to New York, and I stayed with Charles.
Oh, okay.
I stayed with Charles and his girlfriend at the time, later became his wife, but his girlfriend at the time, I just moved because I was going back and forth all the time.
Right.
And I just moved. And so when we came up with a name, I just said the characters. So took the smooth off and we became the characters.
Right. And that's how I first heard it.
Yes.
It was always Troy and Charles, the characters. You always had two names. It was like Tim and Ted, you know. And
Tim and Ted.
Tim and Bob.
Tricky and Sep.
Tricky and Sep.
Remember them?
Yo. I mean, I still talk to Sean, but I haven't called him Sep in I don't know
Tricky
how
and Sep.
long.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Tim and Bob. And
Yep.
so, that's how it all started. And that's how I got to New York. And 12 years I spent with Charles, just building up my credibility.
So it was funny. New Haven, Connecticut. So back when I was in this group, New Mode, when we were in Morehouse.
Was that one Chris was into? Was it
Yeah.
that one? Right on.
And, MC Light took us to her dad, Nat Robinson, got signed to First Priority Atlantic. And first studio session we had to drive to New Haven, Connecticut. And we were in somebody's attic. And Chris kept getting asthma attack from the dust in the attic.
Oh, wow.
And we was like, this doesn't look like the movies, like when you get a record deal. This doesn't look like Billboard at all.
Wow.
But it's funny that I would like to think cosmically that somewhere we crossed, like I went to the corner store and you walked out or something. I don't know. Just, that's
interesting.
How that stuff works. You never know. You never know. All right. So at this point, you have this deal as an artist, right?
Yep.
Now, you and Troy are produced. So how's that working? I'm not you and Troy, you and Charles. Is it you and Charles? Is it just you?
Oh yeah, it was.
It's just you.
Yeah,
and you're 100%er.
He kind of and he kind of represented like as a manager more so.
Okay.
But we're partners.
Okay.
But I'm the artist, so it's like L.I.F.E. What I
Yes.
mean?
Gotcha.
That kind of thing. So
Now, did Charles produce though?
no, Charles did write though.
Okay.
He did write.
All right.
He didn't want anybody to know that he would sing melodies in my ear, ideas that he would have. He would sing it to me, but he didn't want anyone to know. He had this perception of himself as like the Shuggy Nighty kind of likey.
Oh, I always thought he was a producer.
No,
All this
he's the
time.
business part of it. He went to Morehouse for business, and so he was the business side of it.
Never knew that. So
But
many
in
things.
between that,
How much
he
stuff
did,
is he uncredited on? I want to know that.
What do you mean?
Just melodies, lyrics, all that stuff that you said he didn't want anybody to know about. How much stuff did he give you?
There's a song that I did on These Kids. One of the songs called Just a Cover Up. That was Charles's idea. And that was a melody that he sang and in concept that he came up with. There's little songs here and there throughout.
Cat's out the bag, Charles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we letting everybody know now.
That was then. Back then the managers led. The managers led, not the producers. The managers led. So, I my perception of that is he thought that if anybody knew he did that, they wouldn't take him seriously when he's being.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I totally get that.
he wanted to uphold that image of being the manager and the protector, so to speak.
So where did the transition from artist to primarily now producer? When did that happen?
Well, as I was working on my album on Motown, and because I had so many songs, Timmy got with Gerald Busby, who was the president at that time, and they divided songs up that I wasn't using for myself, and they distributed it to this group and this group, both four-member groups, and one was the group Today, Big Bub.
Oh yeah.
And the other was Boyz II Men.
People always do that when they say literally the way you just did. They go Today, Big Bug.
Well, you got to. You got to
use the voice of Today.
Use the voice.
If I was the other member of Today, I'd be
mad.
heated.
Yeah, but they knew. They knew.
Yeah,
they knew.
It's like
they-
Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
Beyonce.
During the course of that, man, when I worked with Boyz II Men, they were kids, and ironically, I'm working with Wanye's sons now.
Yep.
30 years.
Oh, you
later.
fast forwarding because I'm gonna ask you that question later on.
Man.
How has it been in there with all four of them?
Man, listen, these kids are so dope. And it is just as dope as Wanye was when he was their age.
4 young Wanyes.
It's four.
Yeah.
It's literally four.
Yeah.
And so, reading credits. So the credit things comes back. Because when Boyz II Men's album came out, I lived in Brooklyn. Went downtown Brooklyn. What was the name of the record store? The Wiz, I think. And went into the record store. By this time, of course, we have CDs. Open that CD up to see my name as writer, producer. Mm-hmm. I swear to you, to this day, like that is an amazing feeling.
Troy, say the name of the song and the album, please. Just.
Oh, it's Boyz II Men's first album, Coolie High Harmony.
And then what was the record?
And then I ended up with Little Things Mean a Lot and Your Love. So it was really 4. We did 4.
Okay.
And one of the ones is what Just to Cover Up. That's the one Charles did. Well, they didn't keep those 2. They only kept 2. But then they later came back and after End of the Road, they restriped the first album and put End of the Road on there, and then they put those extra 2 onto the album. So they ended up it Can't Be Liked by Everybody and Just to Cover Up. Oh. So they did end up coming out.
Okay.
But after seeing that, I did not want to be an artist.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that feeling was like, and my album was done by this time. The single was remixed by Clark Kent. DJ Clark Kent.
Bringing up names, bro. Oh my God.
Shout out to Clark Kent.
Did the remix? Did you ever leak? Because I know you dropped the album. Did the remix ever get dropped?
I never dropped the album. The album never came out.
I thought you like 10, 15 years later, didn't it?
No.
Okay.
My album.
I might be having some Mandela
not
effect
to
stuff.
Unless you're talking about my
I know you did one in 2020,
Troy
2021
Taylor 90s demos.
That might have been
that's just me for kicks and giggles.
Okay.
Just to put out the songs that was sitting on my computer for years.
I want to hear the Clark Kent
Well,
remix. I need to hear that. How we do
I
that?
haven't heard that in a year, and I got to get that off of that.
I got an A8 at the house. Yeah.
I mean, I have a DAT player
Yeah.
too, but
Okay.
no.
dope.
Anyway, so the idea of me and being an artist went out the window. Like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this because it's the idea. Because I wanted to be like Babyface, like do an album and produce for other people. That was my motivation.
Right.
But the feeling of producing other people and still being able to do background vocals and everything.
Right.
That was bigger than being an artist.
What are some background vocals that are out that people have no clue you're on?
Well, most of the stuff I've been telling people, on my Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true.
The shorts have been hits too, man. There are a few people who've started doing that. I've got to be honest, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. Top 3 of my favorites are what you've been doing, because you've been kind of like. Trey Day was like the soundtrack to my college. I went to college in 05.
Okay.
So when Trey Day came out, I was in college. So hearing you break down how y'all crafted the background vocals to the records y'all did on that, that's the complexity of it. It all sounded so simple, so melodic and so fluid.
Yeah.
And then when you really break down the part and you're playing individual tracks, hearing that and never hearing it that way before. And I'm a mix engineer, and I'm like, I've never heard these parts before. And I go back and listen to the song, and I can hear every single thing you did.
Now you hear it.
And a lot of the writers and producers that I'm sitting with now are saying the same thing. It's like having you guys actually break down that stuff that you did. It changes how we're looking at how we do stuff now, because everything sounded so simple then, and now everything just is so simple. And it's that when we talk about the feeling and the emotion, that's what was adding.
Yeah.
So what got you? You got me jumping around. now.
Right, I'm about to jump in. So mine
Do
is
that.
a little better
Do-
for a sec. So
do that. And then
seeing
we'll go
how
back to
things
it.
are so simple now and it becomes simplified, what are your thoughts on where technology is going in music with AI and everything?
First, I want to say this. We've been using AI as long as we've been using autotune. AI is a part of autotune.
Yeah.
It's artificial intelligence.
I mean, it is.
No, it is. Because it's enhancing our vocals.
Auto-tune, I see AI as McDonald's and autotune as like Eddie Murphy's mom's McDonald's. Like, this ain't McDonald's. AI is now McDonald's.
It's artificial now.
Right.
And
so we've been using it.
That predictive tech makes
Right.
it.
So
yeah.
I agree with you. It's
Pro
the
Tools
beginning of where we are
is
now.
artificial intelligence.
But I'm talking about where we are now, where quite literally a human doesn't even have to touch a record for it to get done. Like, what are your thoughts on this stuff? Like people using Chat GPT to help write lyrics and all this stuff. You can emulate people's voices now. I mean, it's not so good where you can't tell, but it's getting darn close.
The
Like,
rules
what
are going to
thoughts?
start. The rules are going to start. The laws are going to start as soon as something happens and blows up really big. It's going to start. copyright infringement's going to change.
Sure. Absolutely.
You're going to be able to stamp your vocals, your voice, your tone.
Mm-hmm.
Right now,
that's a thing that you own. Yeah.
but you can't go after somebody for sounding like you.
You can. Legally, you actually can.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can. As a matter of fact, I wish I knew I was going to ask this question because I would have this, but there's an artist who's doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it's Mariah, if I'm not mistaken.
Who's sounding like her?
It's not who. It's the AI that they
gotcha.
use to and to make people think it was her. They weren't
Okay.
trying to like fake people out, but doing it. But they did it without her permission, whatever.
Yes.
And by law, you have a right to any
Yeah.
likeness or sound that's like you. So they actually can do that right now.
So that's going to turn up even harder. That's going to go even harder.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, I think they'll still be able to make money off of it, and it'll be something. But I think since social media is slowly desensitizing us, and I have my feeling about AI is that the emotion and feeling.
Right. Exactly.
And someone's like, "Oh, they'll be able to do it." No, but because we're desensitized, emotion don't really matter. And if it's catchy, it'll catch. But for some reason, I still feel like, okay, so let me just say this. Even though music started with Lucifer, and even though this is his world technically, God still has a say.
For sure.
So I feel AI is only going to go but so far, because then it's stripping the gifts that God put in all creatives. I don't believe God is going to allow that to be tampered with.
So it's interesting because, and we talked about this with Leslie. The thing with AI, and Johnny and I both agree with you that it'll never ever replace the human element, right? All it can do is emulate it, and it can emulate it pretty doggone well, and it will get better, right? But all it can do is copy. It's funny you should say that, because even though music was Lucifer's language and his thing, God still created that sound and vibration, right? And why did he get kicked out? Because he was trying to emulate and copy God.
Well, he felt like, hey,
this is about to go into the deep fake.
yeah. Well, I mean, it could actually, you could stop right there, because that is the key. The key is Lucifer feeling like, well, shoot, I have almost half of heaven with me.
Right.
Why not be
half
me?
the block.
Yeah. Why can't it be God?
Right.
And so AI represents kind of like that, and like, shoot, we can make songs without humans. Why do we need humans?
Eventually.
So
And remember how we talked how you can feel, was it you or your son, how if you're around EMF, you can actually feel
that's
it.
me.
Like he has a high sensitivity to that stuff.
Yeah.
But his son doesn't
can't
really do it.
feel it at all.
And he brought up a point where we feel like our bodies will, over time, just naturally morph to kind of be a part of that, really. It's
because
crazy, man.
synthesizers is AI.
Yeah.
Facts.
Synthesizers, drum machines, AI.
Yeah.
Put a
It's
lot of
always been
drummers
there.
out of business. A lot of studio musicians out of business.
That's the thing. So do you have any concern for that?
Well, no, because you still got to have dope programmers to program that stuff. It may cut down how many people are in the studio.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, Jess Blaze is one of the dopest drum programmers I think I've ever run into.
Besides
And
Rich Harrison.
Rich Harrison's no question. Yeah. You know what? I don't even want to say the rest of what I was about to say.
Now, how many people did not think this one thing? He just said,
Just
I'm going
Blaze
to
is-
just show off on
Just
this
Blaze
one.
is incredible. DJ Premier is incredible.
Yes.
But I got to throw Rich in there.
No question.
Good Lord.
But due to that, you know, and they would still bring live drummers in, but
Right.
it wasn't always necessary. And even today, there's some programmers that are making it seem even more effortless. So
I think if you're afraid of it, you're gonna
Yeah.
mess up.
Agreed.
I'm not afraid of it.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I'm here now, and I have to say, am I like 3 or 4 generations later, which means I saw the music change about 3 or 4 times, starting with New Jack up to now. Because New Jack, neo soul, hip hop, and now hip hop R&B.
Right.
So I saw the music change So I'm here and I'm into it now because I it's funny I'm saying this though, don't sue me, but I have my tag Troy Taylor You the GOAT, and I tried it out. So I took Jay-Z's voice to say Troy Taylor You the GOAT, and so I just wanted to see if it worked, and it actually sounds hilarious because when I haven't used it yet, like I haven't put it on anything that came out.
He can't sue you then.
We can't see.
No. But it doesn't. It sounds like him to the point where you go, "Is that Jay-Z?"
Is that him?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But not, because it still sounds mechanical.
Right.
But I just wanted to try it.
Troy Taylor, you the
GOAT. Yeah, it sounds it's so but I'm saying that to say I'm already testing it out.
Yeah.
Right.
To stay ahead or involved with it, because if that's where it goes, then okay,
that's where it's going.
Gotta
no
go with
problem.
it.
All right, since you we didn't map this out like we normally would because we felt like because of the connection it would just be,
And
it would
I
flow.
already know
Which
how he talks. So
I think it's
we
cool
good.
as the only way. But now I'm finna jump all around because I want to go back and have you walk me personally. Hold my hand through this. So you're at Motown. You lived through that Motown phase where Boyz II Men happens. You just mentioned the whole era when New Jack Swing started taking over, which was shortly after that 91, 92 era.
Yeah, it was during the whole time. Yeah,
And then as Motown started to progress, the big point I can remember is when Neo signed there and he became like president of A&R to now, where like I think Brandy just signed with Motown like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something like that. It hasn't been that long. The progression of that label, because it's going to always kind of be the pinnacle of what everyone sees a label should be, especially in this genre. What are your feelings emotionally from where it was to how it's evolved across those, and then what part of that progression do you think was the heyday of it?
Well, the heyday
that we
of
could
it-
look back to take music forward.
I think the heyday of it is going to still be 60s and 70s, because even the 80s it kind of like changed and computers started taking over and it's Motown sound.
See, I didn't even do that. See, I was just trying to stick to when you got there to now. I was leaving the
I would
Temptations
have already
and all
been,
of them out.
I would have been done by now, but you just cut me off. So I'm trying to get there. I would have been finished by now.
He just what?
I would have been finished by now.
But
You cut me off
because he cut you off. Is that what you said?
Going back to Troy Taylor and Charles Farrar, we ended up having our own production situation when Andre Harrell was there. It's a funny era. Yo, so
Like ha funny or
ha funny because, and I dare anybody to challenge me on this. Yo, the A&Rs would all compete with each other. And to the point where on Thursdays, when it's time to play the music for the projects that they were working on, Thursdays became the battle of the A&Rs, but the music would stay there, and now you got to get prepared for the next Thursday.
Oh my god!
So that most of that music never even came out.
That is
it was never
so
really
missing.
about the artist. It was about the egos in the room.
But we as consumers benefited. That's why there was so much heat.
Yeah,
that's why
it was,
everything
but
didn't sound
during
like
the
same.
Andre Harrell era, it wasn't. Andre didn't do great he didn't do good. He didn't do good at Motown. He did great at Uptown, but
Oh,
he
you know
didn't
what?
do good
You know
at
what?
Motown.
Facts, actually, facts.
No,
You
sir.
know what? Facts. But just the whole in building rivalry.
But that's
I
where
forgot all
Motown
about
went.
that. Right.
Yeah, that's where it was like, dude.
Why do you think? It seems like whenever these big producers get like an executive A&R position, nothing ever pops off.
Not me. Well, okay. There's a couple of reasons why that happens. When a producer at a higher caliber goes in, as they say, they don't know that the first and foremost priority for the label and them is we want you to go to the artists that we've been trying for the last 5 years that are sitting on the shelf and give your greatness to them because we done put money into them. Yeah. The producer's coming in with his own agenda, not knowing that, wait, I got my own artists. I got my own stuff. No. We need this done.
Right.
That's where it goes downhill because they don't know that they're not taking when they got a bunch of,
We don't want your ideas.
but they got a bunch of artists that they put money into and doesn't have any hits. So we need you to fix this.
Right.
We're not having you come in with your stuff.
Is it? I've always thought it wasn't even so much that it was more so the creative direction mind just doesn't work from a business overseer type of
It
perspective.
can,
Some of it.
if it's with their artists.
I know for one in particular, that's absolutely the truth.
What it was?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't know that part.
Yeah, no, it can work if I got my own artist coming in with my own agenda, it can work. But I don't know if it's gonna work at this artist that's not
Right,
mine,
right.
that I have no care for.
Right.
Yeah.
So really, by that, they're not even bringing you in necessarily to A&R. They're just bringing you in really to produce
Yes.
these other artists.
Yeah.
Which is that's the problem right there.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's why I never went in.
And
And I've actually always wondered that because I mean, you were one of those ones that seemed like you had the level head on both sides, creatively and on the business
I'm
side.
smart enough to know that
be able
this
to-
is going to mess up my creativity. I'm not doing that. Sit in board meetings every day or all day or even once or twice a week, just sit there and talk about numbers.
and try to get everybody in the building to like what you already know is hot.
Yeah, and then how about this artist that shouldn't have been signed in the first place?
Yeah.
Don't
You know what I
get me
mean?
going.
But that would be me. I'd be like,
He would say it too.
Yeah, I would clearly say it.
Really, you shouldn't have been signed. But
Could that be what needs to happen? Because I mean, apparently
that's what needs to happen.
We've had decades of this same formula that you're talking about happen over and over again. So I mean, at what point do we just hit everybody with a
You
dose of
don't know
reality?
how many artists come my way that the labels, hey, Troy, can you vocal produce this artist? And I'm like, why are they signed? Why did they even get a chance to walk on the same street as the label?
Have you turned any down?
No,
Okay.
because it's a check.
Right. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's where auto-tune helps me.
Right.
My vocal production style is still a little old school, whereas I'll use the auto-tune, but I still will push for feeling.
For sure.
And that's why I'm at probably as a little hard. People don't understand it. And you never even voiced this before, but that's why I go a little harder. And people go, they did it right the first time. No, they did it right, but it didn't feel right.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm still looking for the feeling, even within the auto-tune.
Yeah, I've seen you get frustrated on your reels.
Yeah.
Like for real. I'm like, oh, they about to fight.
So you can get cut down when you're reels too. What were you in there doing something with? I think it was JD McCrary.
Yes.
And it was like, now do it this way. And he was like, nah, bro. Nah, man. I think that's who it was. It might have been
No,
somebody
that's
else.
Devin Culture.
Okay. And it was fun to watch that. And I was surprised you actually posted it. But you was like, no, you got me on
Because
that one.
I
You was
need
right. So-
people to see me be wrong.
because it don't happen often. Is that what?
No. Okay. So content is king.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Content's king.
Absolutely.
Right? I am smart enough to know that if you see me yelling and pulling and pushing and tugging to get what I need, somewhere in there, he ain't always right. Why is he always da 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 da? So,
It's the tension and release. That's all it is.
so to me, wouldn't it be like interesting to hear the artist go da 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 da, me go, okay, you were right.
I got you.
So yes.
Takes a little humility there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's content. And people are saying it in the comments. Yeah, that's right, Troy. He got you on that one. Da, 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 da. And I'm like,
I mean, I said it. I saw that. I was like, yeah, he was right, bro. And then when you actually said it, I was like, oh, dang. So I get it. As someone who actually writes from that perspective all the time, for me to miss that,
Yeah.
I'm a little embarrassed. But
I need to be wrong.
That takes me to my next question, though.
I need it to be
are
wrong.
you thinking about your career at that point to where what you're doing, you're creating it for content snippets for the people now?
Yep.
Okay.
Because I have now crossed over. I'm an influencer now into this generation, which was a goal of mine. My generation has chips on their shoulder. They're angry. And part of them are angry is because their heydays are over.
Yeah, and they don't like change.
And the kids do not know anything about them.
Right.
You know what I mean? A certain person, I remain nameless, his kid keeps pushing his narrative. And I'm like, dude, stop. In my head, I'm like, stop. And I think his kids are telling him to stop too, but he ain't listening. But it's like, it's time for the next one.
Yeah.
Just create the next one. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
But they keep pushing. I'm like, dude, no, stop. You grandpa now.
But I mean, it's more effective the way you're doing it too, because you're interweaving yourself into what
Because
the younger guys
the
are doing.
only way you can make change is first if you get in.
Right.
Who's going to talk to you, tell you anything, trust you, confide in you if they think that you're going to just judge them?
Right.
So when I get in and I listen to them and I let them be them and laugh with them and listen to them and talk to them and everything, eventually this comes about. Troy, what you think? What you think, OG? That comes.
Right.
When they trust you, what you think? then it's important to take your time and not jump in and to, well, you could do this. Did I have the answer all along?
Right. Of course.
Yes. But if you jump in, then it's like, dang. You've been wanting to say that, huh?
Yeah, leading from
So
behind.
this is the lesson for Stone.
Yeah.
Because this is the grief that I get from people.
Oh, you don't
Whatever.
you don't play. You don't play. I don't really know yet.
He doesn't understand
No.
anything you just said.
No,
That's what he's
if I didn't, then I would have been able to recognize. We just talked about how I'm introspective and how I have no problem correcting myself.
Man, will you let me make content? Troy just went through a whole thing about doing stuff for content.
Oh, Lord. You know what? Just give me a wink. Let me know if the left eye is content, right eye is real life. No. But yeah, I get that. I used to get that because I'm just a to the point person. Like I
am too.
Yeah, me that's like fluffing the pillow up for you first.
I don't like
and
doing
then
none of that. I don't like doing none of that, but
I
you
find
got to.
You have to, and it rubs people the wrong way. They take it the wrong way.
When
and
they
all of a
come
sudden
into the
you're mean
studio
guy,
and I'm producing them, I'm not.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I
But
like
other than that, yes, you have to, because the goal is for me to teach them.
Yeah.
And I would rather teach them when they're open and ready to receive, rather than frustrated because they felt like all you wanted to do was just tell me. So that means you wasn't listening to me the whole time.
Right.
So I'm like, actually I was just waiting for me to be able to go off and tell you. But I don't do it that way. I just act like I didn't know and came up with it at that moment.
So, all the episodes where I've called y'all lazy, fat, confused, all this stuff, I apologize. All right. Do you think you're lazy? Well, why don't you think you've achieved this yet? And are you happy with the scale breaking? Or if not, if you are, is it a new scale? Maybe it's not you. I don't know. So I'm learning.
Well,
It just seems contrived when Troy's sitting next to you.
But where is that? Where is that method? How did that method start?
Which method?
That method you just said right there, asking them the question for them to answer,
How did it start?
to hear themselves. Who did that?
All right, I don't know the
You
answer
do
that
know.
you have, but I do have to shout out because where the light went off for me one time, and I got to get a shout out to my friend Tisha Jones because me and Tasha's family we were going at it, right? Because I was just stating facts, and they was like, and they were just getting offended and thin-skinned. And then finally, Janelle was like, you know, if you know people take you this way, you have to know your audience and speak to them that way. And so I was talking to Tisha, and she said, well, instead of saying this, Stone, why don't you just pose it in the question? Say blah, 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 blah.
And
I
who is the
tried it.
master of that?
Who, God?
Jesus.
He did always say that.
He always asked
said,
the question.
Well, you the son of God? Well, who do you say I am?
Exactly. The woman at the well, where's your husband?
Right.
He knew she didn't have a husband,
For sure.
but he approached it that way.
Right.
Let he without sin cast the first stone.
You always put it on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
For them to hear themselves before they answer. Or matter of fact, when they answer, they just heard themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. You're slick. So I think of that.
Right.
To
Which
me, I said this to my mom. I'm like, Jesus was very sarcastic. I don't care what nobody says.
Sure he was.
He's very sarcastic and it's very hilarious. Because everything he said was like, you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Hey, I just asked you a
Hey,
question. I just asked you a question. Maybe your answer did that. I didn't do that.
Right. Exactly.
So I thought about that
Get
and
people
analyzed
telling
that
themselves,
just
yeah.
reading the Bible, how Jesus
Yeah.
approached people, and he never talked at people.
them, right.
He talked to them. And part of that is getting them to recognize it so that it won't be that he.
And it always means more when you recognize it about
Yes.
yourself. That's the only reason why I'm able to turn this corner actually now.
Right.
It's because I finally see what
It's now
Folks
who was
have been
I
saying.
when I'm in my 20s? Was I like that?
Oh, sure. No.
A little more aggressive, a little more on the
Oh my
nose.
gosh, I cursed then. Okay. So it was way bad. It was way worse. Carl Thomas got it
He's not
worse
the
than
only one that
anybody.
doesn't curse anymore.
It took me years to stop.
Yeah, it
but
did. And you knew it was still in you when you stubbed your toe. You'd be like, oh, it's still there. Yeah. It's still
nah,
there.
that won't make me do it. It's just when someone really gets me really, 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 really mad, it'll come out.
Right.
Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't go back to what I was talking about in 2005, 2006, 2007, because that was the Trey Songz songbook thing. Did Trey ever piss you off to that point?
Never. Never.
Nice.
Now, but never. Then. Oh yeah, but never back then. Trey was the absolute best student.
Nice.
He was the best TTU student I've ever had.
For Trey, who was first, Delonte or you?
What do you mean? For Trey?
Yeah, for Trey.
Okay, so Trey's stepdad and Charles went to high school together. Okay. So Trey's stepdad, Kenny, asked Charles could he listen to his son sing. Gotcha. He said he wants to sing. Tell me what you think. Charles says send him to Troy. And that's how I
got you. Okay.
So it's boom, boom.
So who brought in Delonte? Did you have anything
yeah, I
to do
did
that?
because once I left Charles, once we broke up, Delonte got word that the characters broke up, which was a huge thing back then. Right. And so Delonte came by my house and kind of offered to be my manager, which was weird because he was much younger than me, and it was like, huh? Oh my God.
Offered to be your manager.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, that's weird. But okay, hold up. I definitely don't want to go to the office, do all these meetings and all that. I want to be in the studio. So listen, I'll make a deal with you. Anything you bring to me that I already know of, 15%. Anything you introduce to me that I don't know, 20%.
Okay.
So when Charles kicked Trey out, because that's a whole nother story, Trey was elated and said, now I don't have to go in. Now I could just stay with you. And so when I realized that I could do this myself, because everybody who Charles knew, I knew.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then here's key, because I said this for a reason earlier. That was the era of the managers. Mm-hmm. This was the era where the producers are becoming now, because everybody's like trying to, no, let me talk to Troy. I want to talk to the song guy, the music guy. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, boom, you know what I mean? So that was a turning point for where no one really wanted to talk to the managers anymore. They wanted to talk to creatives. And so when I put Trey's demo together, I gave it to Delonte to say, show me what you could do. Okay. And so Delonte went out and shopped the crap out of that. And that's how Trey got his deal.
Got you.
And he was my manager, but then I made him Trey's manager at the same time to keep it, because people were trying to get at Trey at that time. Right. So I was like, let's just keep it in house, keep it going.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and, since I have you here, another question I've had for years is, so the split between you and Charles, was it amicable or?
It was my idea, but it was something that. Let me put it to you this way. When I told God I was done, the way God did it, he made it so that it was initiated by Charles.
I've had that.
And I tell people all the time, before you try to do it yourself, just ask God. He will make it so that he would do it so sweet and so perfect that it ain't even you that did it. It's them. And that's one of those stories. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of those stories, because he wanted to have a meeting to say that a lot of people don't want to work with the characters because of me and my attitude.
Oh, that was on a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother story. Wow. But that story is so intricate. It's a definite rabbit hole. So I'll just say that it was me telling God I'm done. It's time to go. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I can't do this no more. Okay. And then it just happened.
I always wondered. I want to go back to Devin.
Okay, Devin Culture?
Yeah, what's going on with him? Like, he has to win, man, because for selfish reasons. Because
you got selfish reasons?
Yeah, because he is the epitome of everything I keep talking about and preaching. Just the missing of artist development and just the grind and the real work that goes into this dude does, like, he's going through it. Mm-hmm. Like, he has to win. Like, what's going on with that progress right now that you can talk about?
It's real simple. R&B is still not the mainstream yet. Mm-hmm. And even though it exists and still there and hasn't never really went anywhere, it's just not mainstream. It's not the leader right now. Devin is so soulful that the key will be to get a partner that will help me bring him about. Okay. And as opposed to looking for a label, I'm looking for a partner that will believe enough to really go hard to put him in the forefront. So you still got to worry about Urban AC, which, by the way, we created. It's so whack.
That's what we were talking about yesterday.
We're so whack. Yeah. We created that.
You know, that's his life every day.
Yeah, every single day.
104.1.
Yeah. It's tough.
It's like how in the world country music, when it comes to country music, they celebrate their older people. Mm-hmm. They do concerts with them. You know what I mean? They entwine it. But that's old. Yeah. Oh, that's old. Our own radio programmers, who are old, by the way.
We
He knows so much.
Cox Media Group. Johnny Vaughn is not. These are the words of Troy Taylor. It may or may not be my emotions, but not my words. I'm just putting that out there.
Don't ask me how they are able to still program music and they don't even listen to the music.
Right? Yeah, man.
I don't care what nobody say.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm not an artist.
That's all right. Well, I'll make sure.
And
you
that
get
is the reason.
Make sure you get that episode.
But listen,
we need to have a phone in.
That is one of the reasons why I
that
stopped
episode.
being an artist, so I can say
You
that.
can do that? Yeah. I appreciate people who can say that because I'm in a position to where I can't. I say it subtly
I'll say it
in
for you.
every meeting, every week, and nobody's listening to me because I'm the young dude in the room. But you're 100% correct.
All you gotta do is ask the question. You could just say, "Hey, when you be like leaving the station, what do you do like during the like when you're off?
do
When
you
you're
listen-
off,
do you listen to
Do
music?
you listen to any of that stuff? Do you have sons and daughters? What do they listen to?
Yeah, those are really deep conversations that are had, and I would be more than happy to share you some of the answers that I've gotten that make no sense from the people who are in power.
Right.
And that's only because how dare they make themselves inadequate? They have to still be important, and that's what's hurting our music.
100%.
Yeah.
All right,
Can I wait? No, you've gotten two. It's my turn.
Yes, sir.
Camera 3. So I specifically remember a term for me when I was listening to everything that was coming out of what you were doing. Trey and B Major were a part of a lot of that, I believe. And then right after that, the rap and B or the trap and B thing happened. I blame you a little bit because I think you allowed Trey to do some of that stuff. And it hurt me when Trey kind of started going heavy into that. And maybe that's when he started making you mad. I don't know.
No,
But what does it take to get back to, and I don't even know if we can get back to prior to that, but there's a bridge that I think broke right there for when R&B went to not being mainstream.
Okay, so here's one thing that you need to know. When Kenny went to Charles to say, "Hey, can you listen to my son?" who at that point was 15, he raps, but he says he wants to sing. So rapping was first.
That was his first love.
Jay-Z is his main favorite artist. So
man.
he was very, and by the way, Trey is very good at rapping.
No doubt.
But that's not what took off for him. And when we did a Wonder Woman, which the verse is still to this day crazy, there's a couple of things of why Wonder Woman didn't work particularly. The cadence of the music wasn't the style anymore, so DJs couldn't mix it with anything, number one. Number two, personally, creatively speaking, Danger Hands did it, but he was fresh off of Timbaland.
Yeah.
I believe that if Timbaland did it, it would be different. It was missing some important elements that I thought, Danger Hands probably was a little too early to leave. You know what I mean? But it just didn't twine. They didn't have anything to mesh it with. That My Love was already done.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't work. And then Trey became so good at the singing that no one really wanted to hear him rap. Yeah. So that was it. And if you can imagine how pissed he was when Chris started rapping,
Yeah.
he felt like,
Now, even when I ask that question, I don't even so much mean Trey getting back. I mean R&B in general, because we talked about Wanye's sons early on. And if you have not seen clips of these four gentlemen doing 4-part harmony of everything, please go treat yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
dope.
feel like that should be happening right now. From a radio standpoint, and again, me sitting in programming meetings every week, I know why from our standpoint. But it almost feels like the music isn't even getting produced. Like I'm getting clips, but like we don't have like a leaked single, we don't have an EP. Like what's happening on the real R&B side to where we just don't have enough music?
I think that it's still that same thing. The real music is getting called urban AC.
Okay.
And that's as simple as that. You put a bridge in your song, now you're urban AC. You do any chord changes that's super dope, you're urban AC.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. That's the real problem.
Okay.
Anything that's going there and they're like, doo-doo-doo, like, woo. That's
Right.
Urban. It's Urban AC.
Yeah.
So
I love it when I craft all these questions and I think I'm asking something deep.
Then
And
they
then
hit you
somebody
with
like
a
Troy
look.
just be like, nope, it ain't that.
Right.
It's just this.
All right, so that really that's one for me, but indie versus major.
indie for now, yeah. Look, nobody wants to spend their own money. So if you can get a major label to fund you and treat you like an indie, great.
Say that last part again and treat you
Like an indie. Yeah,
And
because but hold up, check this out. This is hilarious because a major will sign sign an artist and then tell them don't tell people you're signed, so that you can appear to be indie.
Wow. That I did not know.
Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll fund it, but they still want you to remain indie looking.
It happens when we get submissions. They'll leave the label's name off of the submission.
That's so funny.
It happens all the time. I thought it was crazy when I first. It's been happening for years.
Yes,
too.
it has.
Well, that's one thing I always tell artists, when I'm doing my coaching and stuff. I was like, look, getting a deal, you're actually at step one again. I said, because most of the people that are signed, they're doing what they were doing before they got the deal. That's all it is. For some reason, I don't know how that mentality still sticks. I think it's starting to fade, where they think, oh, once I get signed, that's it. I'm going to take off. So that's why I kind of
Oh no, because the TikTokers who are getting discovered off of TikTok, when they get a record deal, they stop, and they're not supposed to. They're supposed to go 3 times harder.
Yep, exactly.
And they don't think
they
so.
don't get that.
It's like, oh, I got the money. It's in the account. Shoot, that's it. I'm good.
Right.
You got to post. I need you to post 3 times today. Why?
Right.
Because
Getting the deal was their goal.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And most of them that didn't have a goal of getting signed, because a lot of them don't care. They get record deals because they were approached, not because they were doing TikTok to get one.
Right.
A lot of people are signed that had no idea they could even be an artist.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. Facts.
Because now the
You have
record
anything
companies are signing people who don't care.
Yeah,
and then they're, Troy, can you vocal produce them? And then I get with them. And, I'm still old school with the artist development. I need to ask the questions to see if their temperament. Wait, so why did you get signed? I'm sure they offer me. So that's the only reason why? You never want. I ain't even know. I ain't.
Are you seeing that more so now than anything else?
More than anything.
That answers a lot.
More than anything, because they don't know. They didn't think they could do. They wasn't on TikTok to get a record deal. They was on TikTok to impress their friends.
Right. There was no passion.
No,
in the
them
beginning.
TikTok checks nice too now.
They are the TikTok. but they weren't doing it for
Right.
the record label side. They was
The
doing
whole
it.
artist life was never even
No,
a
they
thing.
didn't even think about that because
like-
they're too busy having fun and making money at TikTok. And
That's good to know.
Are you
Yeah.
still checking out showcases and stuff when they happen?
here and there.
Okay, so have you run into any artists that are still doing the passion route, that are still out there, they're writing 3-4 songs a week, they're performing their own stuff?
Shade Jennifer.
Okay, okay.
Shade is doing it. He's great on TikTok right now. TikTok just flew him out actually the other day, and he's making some good money on TikTok. And he works hard. He writes. He gets it.
Okay.
Nice.
But is he a rare breed? Is it one of those endangered species type things? Like he doesn't exist?
Yeah, he can sing
He's a
his
unicorn,
face
right?
off. He's a unicorn, definitely.
Nice.
And the reason why I asked that question is because when we were talking about where the industry's going next from a music standpoint, because I'm hoping R&B comes back. to
It is
what
coming
what
back.
was. And I think it is too.
It
but
just
it's-
has to morph into something where the kids.
I was gonna say it won't come
And
back
that's-
like it was.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like
I'd
you
be interested to see
need
what the
with
new
what this
version
era is now because of the TikTok. You need a Shay Jennifer to show the kids that somebody from their generation can
yeah,
do that,
yeah.
Right.
and then to get them to follow in that path.
Yep.
And I just the reason why I'm asking is like, is there enough of that prototype?
It is.
To
It's
start to
coming about.
permeate?
It's starting to come about because you got my little nephew Papa J. He's dope, and he's on the upcoming because he's not only he's an artist and he's a actor too because he's the kid and he plays Michael B. Jordan's younger self in Creed 3, but he's an incredible artist. And then you got Juan Moore.
Yeah.
So, and then you got J.D. McCrary. So you do got a generation of, and it's so funny because this generation thinks Chris Brown is old.
Right.
I was telling somebody about. I said, y'all remember that record TLC? They said T who?
Right. Yeah. Right.
I literally, I'm not kidding. I just turned around, I walked back upstairs and went to my office. I didn't even.
They don't know Boyz II Men. They don't know TLC. Chris Brown's old. Trey's old. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's
to hear
like-
you say that though, it takes me back to like 15 years ago when Jacob Lattimore was kind of on that bubble, and we thought Jacob was going to be, and Jacob hasn't done bad at all.
He's maintained.
But, yeah,
you know?
but I mean,
He
it
was an
always
incredible. He was an incredible kid.
Yeah,
I remember.
I
he's
thought
like,
that was going to be the new prototype, and then now that the names that you rattled off, like when I'm sitting here thinking, I didn't think of any of them, but I know every one of them that you just named.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that we start seeing that bubble up again, just because I feel like we're at that point now to where if it falls off anymore from where it's at.
No, we're gonna.
The Urban AC title is going to be the least of our
We're gonna be
worries
back.
for Brent.
We're gonna be back. It's just gonna take some time.
Okay.
We're gonna be back.
All right, got something fun for you.
Okay.
We're gonna do a rapid fire either or.
Okay.
Just thought of this when I walked in the door.
Okay.
I think it'll be fun. So don't take time to think about it really. Just
Okay.
what hits your gut. If you want to elaborate, feel free. All right.
Okay.
I got 10 of them for you.
Okay.
Either or. Here we go. Whitney or Mariah?
Whitney.
What'd I tell you? 80s hip hop or current rap?
80s.
80s hip hop
Yeah.
or current rap? Okay.
I told
80s.
you you shouldn't even ask that one. So.
I know, but anytime I can give 80s hip hop some shine, I'm gonna give it
80s.
to 'em.
Well, I'm gonna help you shine. 80s.
So that might have been a little scheme right there. Pro Tools or Logic?
Pro Tools. Wait. For vocals or music?
For music, which one?
I was going to let you say because I know
Pro Tools. Pro Tools
for
vocals.
music,
Logic.
Every producer will say that.
Yeah, I know. Yep. All right, a night out with friends or chill at home with friends?
Chill at home with friends.
Unlimited wisdom or unlimited favor?
Unlimited wisdom, because that's gonna give me the favor.
Okay.
Sheesh.
Water drop. All right, historically infamous or forgotten after death?
Historically infamous.
Wow.
Because the
Just as
perception
long
will
as you're-
change as people talk. So he did that too? I liked it. I didn't have a problem with that.
So just to get them talking.
Yeah.
Just to get them talking.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Would you rather be the best at one thing or really good at many things?
Many good in today's time, good at many things.
Okay, that's fair. Would you rather be the richest in the world or overall the smartest in the world?
The smartest.
Okay.
Because it'll bring the riches, right?
Yep.
I already.
Sure.
That's the way he answered the other one.
Although it was funny because there are a lot of smart people that literally don't know how to make a dime.
They don't. Yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean?
Smart at what?
But I'm talking about me. So
And that's why I said overall smart. You know,
Like,
right.
well, me-
You're right. You did say we talking about Troy. Right. You did say
I won't be that guy. I'll be the smart guy that goes and hires the right people. Yes.
All right, $50 an hour working independently from home, or $100 an hour at a 9 to 5.
$50 working the first one.
Right. And then last one.
What?
P. Cox or Rodney Jerkins?
Rodney.
I knew that. I knew it.
Technically, it would be technically B. Cox, but you said don't think.
Yeah.
Sure.
So my first thing is Rodney, because
Okay.
Rodney is
Well, the name's out there a little
coming
more, so.
from Teddy, so I'm a
Yeah.
huge Teddy fan. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I feel you.
And see, I
All right.
almost did that. I almost did the whole Teddy Face thing, but
Face. I'm gonna stick with Face, because remember I said my goal was to be like Face.
I understood.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't even do that. I scratched that off. There we go.
That was a good versus, though.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much for being here. Where
Absolutely.
can people find you, dude? Like, they want
Troy Taylor TTU at Twitter, which I don't even be on. I don't even know, because Twitter's still going strong, man. I didn't
is.
even know. Black Twitter is crazy.
Twitter's where I speak my mind.
Okay. Everybody does. So it's at Troy Taylor TTU on Instagram.
All right, Troy Taylor TTU.
Johnny Vaughn, just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONYVAN.
He slowed it down today. Very good. Stone Stafford at stonestafford.com. And of course, you can find everything Life on Podcast at guess where? lifeonpodcast.com. So we thank you guys for listening and watching. Thanks for your support. 1 million subscribers in 2023. Thank you for getting us there, Troy. Thanks again, man.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it,
having me.
brother. Peace out. Y'all, thanks. We'll see you next week. We out of here. Peace.
So back to what I was saying.